profound impact on my Dartford constituency, and in many ways places outside of London are in a very different situation compared with those constituencies inside of London, because of course we don't vote in or out the London Mayor. So therefore, as the Honourable Member for Barnet said quite rightly, this is taxation without any kind of accountability or representation. These are decisions that are being imposed on people in Dartford without any kind of say from the people of Dartford against that decision. That is not democracy, Mr. Stringer. Yeah, that's literally what we have happening. We have it right around the whole of the sort of donut area around London, where the scrappage scheme that's been brought in by the Mayor does not apply, and nor should it apply, in my opinion, because where would you draw the line? Right up to Manchester or Rochester. You know, we can't have a situation where the taxpayer, general taxpayer, has to pick up the bill for the Mayor of London's financial incompetence. And so therefore it's right that we don't have the scrappage scheme outside, and even the scrappage scheme inside of London is, I think, up to £2,000. Up to £2,000. You show me a car that's ULEZ compliant that you can buy for up to £2,000. There's hardly any out there. Oh, yes, of course I could.
Ian Duncan-Smith.
Friend for this point. I just want to come to this point. Right now, in Labour-controlled boroughs, my particular one in Waltham Forest, they are trying to build tower blocks, and they will not allow any car parking except for those with disability certificates. That means that even if you do get the right car, you will not be allowed to park in London. This is an attack on the whole idea of the motor car, whether it's electric or whether it's actually using carbon sources.
The right honourable gentleman is absolutely right. There's this lack of joined-up thinking about how he actually approaches motor vehicle, where we all know it's just an anti-car mentality that the Mayor of London has. And the impact is going to be not just on people outside of London like in Dartford, but it's going to be right on those areas in outer London that come within the zone. And the reason why it would have an impact there on businesses that people in my constituency are not going to travel to because it will cost them £12.50 to do so. 1 in 7 of my constituents who own vehicles will be hit by this charge. But it's also going to affect the public services that we have in London. I think something like 50% of all metropolitan police officers actually live outside of London. I'm sure it's a similar figure, Mr. Stringer, for paramedics, for firefighters and so on. But just make this point. It's the same for those group of people. Now, those group of people are going to have to pay £12.50 to come into London in order to work and to keep the services that Londoners rely on. And not just £12.50. If they're doing a night shift, then they're going to be hit twice. So 25 quid in order to carry out a night shift from the people that Londoners rely on the most. Yes, of course.
I thank my honourable friend for giving way, and thank for his campaigning that he has already done against the expansion of ULEZ. Like my honourable friend, I'm a Kent MP, and he will also know that Kent Online did an FOI, and in the last expansion of ULEZ, there were 78,000 people within a year who were fined in Kent for the latest expansion. There were over 16,000 people within Medway that were fined. You know, and I'm being contacted now by residents who are having to travel into Bexley, which which years ago used to be Kent, not Greater London. So it is rather frustrating for my local residents to understand how the Labour London Mayor has an impact on an area that we used to believe to be Kent and not inner London. And does he agree with me that we should do all we can in Kent to make sure that we are supporting our London colleagues in trying to stop this crazy money-grabbing scheme by the Mayor?
The Honourable Lady is absolutely right. This is why it's been so good that Kentish MPs, for example, have been working with our distant cousins from across the border in the smoky town. Honourable members who actually over this would quite like to be in Kent. I think we won't let them. Anyway, I think it's important that you're absolutely right that we make the point about these penalty notices, because income from those penalty notices has been factored in by the Mayor of London in his overall budgeting for this. He relies on people forgetting to pay or not knowing that they have to pay. That is part of the sort of the totality of this impact that he's placing upon us. And as has been said quite a few times during this debate, This is not, Mr. Stringer, about air quality. This has been the facade that's been put across it. In Dartford, we have poor air quality. We suffer from the impacts of westerly winds, we suffer from the impact of the Dartford crossing, and as a consequence, we have poor air quality. And so therefore, if this was about air quality, I would be one of the first people actually to be sympathetic to it. But it is not about that. If it was about air quality, Sadiq Khan would be banning these vehicles from London. He doesn't want to ban them, he just wants to make money out of them. And he needs to make a certain amount of money out of them as well. We know that the London Underground, for example, is far more polluted than the air on the streets, yet this policy will force more people to use the Underground and therefore have a bigger impact upon them because of the air quality that they'll be breathing in. It's absolutely nothing to do with it. The Mayor of London at the moment is doing away with our daily travel cards, which again pushes more people onto the London Underground, where the air quality is far worse. Yeah.
The Mayor of London equated the expansion of the ultra-low emission zone to the banning of smoking in pubs. Now, would my honourable friend agree with me that the banning of smoking in pubs was not subject to a £12.50 charge, because if you pay £12.50, you're not going to be polluting the air in pubs if you're smoking, and therefore the comparison between the two is completely and utterly bonkers?
Yes, and absolutely. I think it's also fair to say that on any consultations that took place at that time, the majority of people were in favour of banning smoking in pubs, whereas here we know, however you factor and however you approach that consultation, whether you accept wholeheartedly what the Mayor of London has said about the consultation process, what we know is the majority of people do not support the ULEZ expansion. It was a sham consultation. What is the point in having a consultation where at the end of it you totally ignore the outcome of that consultation? And we know that there's lots of rumours out there that the cameras, for example, were bought before the consultation took place, and therefore there was never any chance at all of Sadiq Khan rolling back on this. He was hell-bent on expanding the ULEZ no matter what anybody said and no matter what the outcome. And what we haven't heard from him whatsoever is him saying that he will not move the goalposts over this, because I firmly believe that Sadiq Khan has in his mind the fact that he has to earn a certain amount of money from this, because to pay for the infrastructure that he'll put in, I think £250 million for a start, and in order to fill the black hole in his finances. And in order to do that, he has to earn that certain amount of money. Now, if too many people switch over to compliant vehicles, he will move the goalposts. So the next category of vehicles will be no longer ULEZ compliant until all petrol cars, all diesel cars are not compliant and therefore are charged. That is something that the Mayor of London has not ruled out, and something I firmly believe will happen. This is not the end of it, this is the beginning of it.
You said earlier it's one thing when Kent MPs cooperate with London MPs, it's another thing when Essex MPs join in too. Would he agree with me that the truth of this is that TfL has effectively been bankrupt for years and he's only kept going with central government subsidy, and whilst the Mayor pays lip service to air quality, this is a tax grab, pure and simple. It's not about the air quality, it's about the money, isn't it?
Yeah. My honourable friend from across the river is absolutely right, and I'm delighted that Essex and Kent MPs, and let's face it, all MPs have been working together on this, who have an inch of fairness about them. I mean, it speaks volumes, quite frankly, Mr. Stringer, that not a single Labour backbencher has turned up.
Where are they?
When you speak to Labour MPs privately about this, they despair at this policy. It's why they are not here right now, is because they have no comeback, no answer, and they do not want to be in here embarrassed by this policy that is supported by the leadership of the Labour Party. And if I could make one final point, Mr. Stringer, is that for a party that claims that it wants to look after the poorest in society, this is a policy that will do exactly the opposite of this. This will hit the poorest in society most. This will not hit the rich and powerful and wealthy. It will hit small people who have vehicles that are quite old, that they can't afford to upgrade. It will hit small businesses that have got 2 or 3 non-compliant vehicles and therefore are unable to upgrade themselves. This will hit people who cannot afford to pay this and will therefore despair and they contact their members of parliament, as they have done in their scores and scores and scores on a weekly basis, because they are desperately trying to work out what on earth they can do about a policy they have no control over, that they have no vote over in the case of people in Dartford, and that they cannot simply afford. This is a cruel form of taxation on the people living in the South East. This is something that the Labour Party should be thoroughly ashamed of, and they should be thoroughly ashamed of their London Mayor.